Recording. Okay. All right. Welcome, everyone. This is Steve with Aptera Club, joined by Jason Hill, who we all know very well. Jason has been gracious enough to spend some time this evening with us and wanted to give us some updates about what's going on in Aptera in terms of
Sure.
features and safety
Yeah.
testing and things like that. So take it away for us, Jason.
Thank you, Steve. And hello, everyone. Very busy, which is very positive for everything we're doing for Aptera, and we really appreciate everybody's support. Yeah, I'm happy to kind of give some of the positive updates about things around the Accelerator program, a little bit of the safety aspect and where we're heading with our structural and functional safety, and then kind of go specifically on a few little features that a little bit of the how and why and what that might mean. So yeah, let's get into it. Let me see if I can get this thing sharing for you all.
Yeah.
Accelerator?
I can.
Awesome. Aptera is very pleased with everybody's participation in the Accelerator program. We find it very rewarding, not only for us as a company, but I think everyone is going to benefit, and we really appreciate that community effort. Steve and Chris, especially Chris, he kind of created the program, and it's been very helpful. So we have already benefited that in conjunction with the CEC grant. We're now moving ahead on programs that help accelerate the goal, which is the production of the vehicle. So it's really, really good. And one of the things that every accelerator is going to get is the unique book. And that's going to be a book for the accelerators only. There'll be a book that's kind of like everybody can enjoy, but this is a very special book that will be certified and serialized relative to their number of the vehicle. Mm-hmm. And you personally, I think, are going to benefit by the largesse of one of the accelerators. I think that's just great. It's a really strong reflection of how the value of our community and what we're doing. So but yeah, you guys are going to get a cool bag, right? And we actually have this bag sampled out, and it's really fun. We kind of surprised one of our CEOs was like, wait, where did this come from? I was like, well, this is going to be the bag for the accelerators. And he's like, this is awesome. Like, we found kind of the design and the quality. We're not sure on the color yet. We tried a few different colors. But this is one demarcation or one kind of benefit of being part of the Accelerator program. And we have some great stuff coming up right now. A lot of our team is in Italy at the moment for some very important meetings, and we'll have some further information that relates to what the Accelerator program is doing for Aptera and the vehicle.
Okay.
For production. So
yeah, I like the drag formula.
Sorry?
I like the drag formula on it.
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's actually really cool and push. This is an interesting. We have this physical product, and this is kind of a manifestation before we actually got the physical product. It's a pretty cool process where we can kind of know what we're getting before we get it, which is really germane to everything that Aptera does. We put a lot of trust in our digital process.
Yeah.
And this industry of vehicle and what we're doing it's so amazing that we can create something digitally and then manifest that physically pretty quickly. There's other aspects of the Accelerator program, the serialization of the vehicle itself, and where those you did a great video about, here's where the serial number goes and everything like that. And then we'll have unique RFID cards for the first 2,000. And then after that, there'll be a different RFID card. So we're really focusing on the uniqueness of the first 2,000 vehicles.
Okay. So I heard you say that afterwards there will be other RFID cards. Does that mean that there will be a card key for all Apteras, not just the Accelerator Apteras?
Yes.
It's just the card key will be different for the Accelerator ones, but everyone will get a card key. So there will be some kind of card that opens and operates the vehicle.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
Yeah. And then, we're working really hard, and we're so blessed to have such strong engineering around what safety is.
Mm-hmm.
And our ethos of, like, it starts with the occupant, and it moves to the structure, and then it moves to the functional, and then eventually it ends with, it kind of ends with lighting, and what our responsibility is to the environment, meaning, the operating environment. Like, the barrier for this vehicle from the regulatory standpoint is actually very low, but we feel a great responsibility to kind of go beyond that and
Mm-hmm.
have, for example, stronger lights and more reflectivity and more demarcation of the vehicle from a lighting sense,
Mm-hmm.
both daytime and nighttime. So that, we put a lot of effort into that engineering aspect, and the overall ethos again is there's the occupants, and you have to prepare for, as we witnessed today, a rapid deacceleration event. And
You're talking about the SpaceX
yes,
launch, right? Okay.
yeah. And that means that we've tasked our engineers and engineering partners as, like, these are the strengths that are required, right? And we're going above and beyond what the law is stating.
Mm-hmm.
It comes down to things like, what is the anchor strength and the bolt strength that holds the seat in place?
Mm-hmm.
Like, we know those things from an automotive standpoint. We know those things from a strength standpoint. So we've set all those targets, and then, go from there. So it starts with the seat and the occupant, the functional safety seat belt, the supplemental safety, which we hope, never gets used, which is the airbag system.
Mm-hmm.
Early on, the CEOs made the call, like, yeah, we don't need airbags, but we definitely should have them.
Mm-hmm.
And that requires, there's an electronic component to that.
Mm-hmm.
We found a supplier that will support that. It's not their first time implementing airbags, but there's a whole process to that. Once you select it, what that means, where it goes, what triggers it,
Mm-hmm.
where that whole thing kind of lives. And
Uh-huh.
then it works outwards to the structural safety. And there's static structural safety tests, and there's dynamic structural safety tests.
Mm-hmm.
And our partnership with CPC, they've helped other companies, and including Aptera, engineer some of the safest vehicles out there in their categories. So
Mm-hmm.
these people know what they're doing, and then we go from the engineering targets to the manifestation to then the validation and simulation, and then again, eventually the outside validation. So these programs are all, kind of in place and running in parallel.
Mm-hmm.
And it leads to, a structural, how should I say, harmony, right? And one of the aspects is, we've always looked at metallic elements as if they're needed or not, are they necessary or not, what benefit do the composites provide versus the material of the carbon fiber composite. And we've arrived at a place where the harmony of all these things gives us a structural integrity that we're just now beginning to tell the story. Everybody wants to know the story, rightly so, and we get to share not only the story of the how, but eventually, the why is a given. We do this to protect the occupants. The how is through this process of engineering, and then the result will be shared along the way as we get to the not only the simulation, but then the internal and external validation. So super fun there. Any questions on that? I mean, you can
Yeah.
see the airbags in their
Oh,
deployed
yeah.
position here.
Okay.
I don't know if you noticed that, but
I didn't notice that until you just pointed that out. What I,
well, yeah,
the first thing that jumps out is the metal structure on the roof, the tubular
sure,
metal structure.
sure.
And so, in all the previous pictures of the body in carbon, we did not see this. And so my question to you was this always in the design, or was this added later on? And
It has been in and out of the design in various guises for quite some time, and this is kind of the settled place. And this is not, from last week.
Mhm.
and it's also not from 6 months or a year ago. It's kind of the final, like, this gives us the best of everything we're trying to achieve.
Mhm.
And it's been tried in pure composite. It's been tried with metallic elements that are stamped versus rolled or formed.
Mhm.
But these three things, when they get bonded together, or all these parts when they get bonded together,
Mhm.
um, that results in our it meets and exceeds what we are required to do, and it meets and exceeds what we want to do.
Mm.
So it's without, I can't give you the numbers, that's not my place.
Uh-huh.
But for sure, the safety aspect, it started with this occupant safety aspect.
Uh-huh.
And we've always had these targets, and now we get to tell a little bit of that story. But I'm going to leave that to the near future
Yeah.
as we develop that. But you can see there's a harmony between composite and metal.
Right. Because there's the metal
And
pieces in the door as well. We've seen
yeah,
those pieces before.
yes.
Uh-huh.
We started to share those a little bit. That we've got this amazingly strong door. We've got this amazingly strong and lightweight, and the safety cell, or our bank, our body in carbon is
Mhm.
just, it's really, really something that we're excited to share more about. So
Mhm.
this is kind of part of the beginning of that.
Okay. Is that metal steel or aluminum?
We've looked at both.
Mhm.
Aluminum obviously offers some advantages and disadvantages.
Mhm.
But for where we're at, those are steel.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
And there's still just frontal airbags, correct?
Correct.
Yeah. Okay. And you guys are planning on doing physical crash testing of vehicles.
Yeah, it's a must.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
our whole that whole part is, there's no way around it,
Hmm.
right? There's no ability to say, well, we don't need to do that.
Hmm.
And a lot of our safety aspects, like our auxiliary brake lamp,
Hmm.
that's not required on an autocycle or motorcycle. But we feel very strongly that from a functional safety standpoint for our users and the environment that this vehicle is operating in, it should be there. Um,
The
and that
auxiliary brake lamp, you mean that's the third brake lamp at the top?
yes,
Okay. Okay.
yeah.
And do autocycles require crash testing? I thought maybe they were exempt from it.
Um, I believe there is a certain level
Uh-huh.
of, there's the validation, and then the homologation,
Uh-huh.
and then the certification,
Yeah.
right? Um, Aptera is absolutely going to do physical tests on this.
Hmm.
And it's normal, especially with our partners, that they physically test these vehicles against the structural standards that have been set.
Yeah. Like
Right.
basically automotive standards.
Yeah, we're using a lot of automotive standards that we want to apply to this,
Hmm.
right?
Yeah.
As a a, a just as our safety ethos. So that's
Yeah.
kind of the overview. It starts with the occupants, it ends with some of the functional safeties and pure visibility, daytime
Yeah.
and nighttime.
Hmm.
So it's more than just this structure or these airbags or the seat belts. It includes the lighting, it includes all the redundant systems, such as the PRND select, right? There's a
Yeah.
lot that goes into this, and this is what we've been doing. We
Hmm.
haven't been idle, like, oh, designing forever. We've been applying uh these rules and directions across everything.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Yeah. Yeah, because
good.
I think that's, obviously when people see the Aptera, that is one of the first things a lot of naysayers say.
Sure.
Yeah, they're just like, "Oh, that thing's a death trap. Why would you ever get into that thing?" So,
Yeah.
I mean, good physical crash testing is gonna, silence a lot of those critics.
Absolutely. And these are right things. And it's been, safety is not something you add at the end. It's
Right.
something we're revealing now. And,
Hmm.
and in an ideal situation, we would have had the ability earlier to kind of tell this story.
Hmm.
But it's definitely been there from the beginning, and now we get to, put the words and of the philosophy and the mandate to, to the actual results. And you guys are all going to, be along with that every step of the way.
Great. We are all looking forward to seeing the crash testing results and videos.
Yeah. And all the other functional safety aspects. There's structure, like I said, there's structural testing, and then there's actual physical, dynamic testing, and a lot of aspects to that. So
right. Like the moose test and stuff, the maneuverability, and then you had a couple of pictures on your LinkedIn about the lighting and the collaboration with MagWorks.
Yeah.
And so we did a little research into MagWorks, and they seem like a great company with some good technology.
They are obsessed with efficiency. So there's kind of a natural fit. We can buy a legal lamp, but it doesn't work for this vehicle. We can apply some existing technologies that pass the regulation, but this vehicle deserves more, right?
Yeah.
It really deserves. Sorry, my dog is sticking his nose into this. So, this vehicle deserves a lot more than just, hey, we met the regulation, everybody's happy. No, if we don't exceed it, the customers are going to say, this doesn't give me what that helps me feel safe.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
And so yeah, that's just the beginning, and I'm sure we'll have future conversations around that.
Okay. All right.
Yeah. So then some of the features, right? I know you pinged me with some questions. Honestly, there were a little bit more specifications, and I did get some of that.
Okay.
Talk about some of the features on, the vehicle.
Yeah, walk us through them, please.
Yeah, we're very far on all of the vehicle. We've got, as it relates to safety, we've got the lighting aspects. We're very pleased with where we're at with solar. We're going to get that pure sunshine into mobility. The way we talk about it is that, Aptera takes available low-cost grid energy and supplements it with meaningful free solar energy. And we have only, every month we get further and better and more testing and more, let's say, miles under the sun or miles from the sun. It's really, really great on where we're at. So if there's anything on that, otherwise, we've got some updates on the interior, and one of the features is this supplemental, auxiliary PRND.
Yeah.
Which is our drive select. And as we engineer for the best case scenario, you also have to protect for worst case scenarios. And what that PRND does is allow, either in an event or some sort of, whether the screen's not working or there's an event, this allows you to put the vehicle in park or reverse or neutral or drive. We've known this from the beginning, that there has to be kind of an auxiliary separate system in order to protect for that. You can't rely 100% on, let's say a touchscreen input.
Yeah.
But that's not your primary. The primary will be the touchscreen, and we've demonstrated that, that you're able to control the vehicle from the touchscreen, but you need that extra level of because it does happen. Right?
It's a little redundancy.
It's redundancy.
Yeah.
And then vision system is coming really nice. We've updated the yoke.
Right. You made it black all the way around, which I think a lot of people are happy about that.
Well, yeah, honestly, that is a wear and tear issue that we've known all along. But we, especially from a design standpoint, okay, we always want to give you kind of that extra special cake and kind of get the appetite hungry. But we know the functional realities of, like, that thing's going to get dirty. Now
Yeah.
there's materials that don't get dirty,
Yeah.
but our best bet at this time, which we've known from the beginning, is like, yeah, that's where we're going to be. But you always have to set with the conceptuals, the alphas and the gammas of where you want to ideally be in an optimistic and perfect world. So, but yeah, the reality is, yeah, we need a durable material, and the material is the same. It's very durable, but there's a there's a kind of a cleanliness aspect.
Right.
So we've been sensitive to that all along. We've got an airbag that's going to hopefully never to be deployed from the steering yoke. This is the final shape is, now that we're working with directly with our airbag and steering supplier. We're optimizing that, and the functionality of what that plus and minus does and how we apply that and how it relates to center screen. The horn is offset for a reason, and it is demarked so it's a mixture between what a motorcycle horn requirement is and what we would expect from a automobile. I'm driving a yoke vehicle with the horn and the controls, and for over 6 months now, and it is quite satisfying and befitting of what our vehicle is going to do.
All right.
Because
you guys didn't want to put the horn where you just kind of mash the center of the thing. You didn't want that to be the horn, or is that doesn't meet regulations or something?
It's not necessarily that it meets regulations. It's that it works really well where it is. We've been testing it, and it helps us to get to production with the requirements that are necessary.
I see. And then the plus minus, it's not going to be just volume. You can do some other things with it, maybe.
Correct. And remember, if you think about what we're going to launch with is, we want this vehicle to do a few things extremely well. And we want to be able to add functionality over time. But if we try and hit 20 things and all of them are compromised, right? I mean, you really want a few things that work extremely well. And that's kind of our not baseline, but foundation.
All right. So are you allowed to tell us what other things that you're thinking about making the plus minus do?
Well, it would be related to anything that you might select and want to choose between that, right?
All right. So you would maybe touch something on the center screen and then kind of select with the plus minus between the various options. Yeah. And
same with the stalk. I mean, the left-hand stalk gives us the functionality that we need to operate some things without overcomplicating either the center screen or the steering yoke itself. Right. So that's a great starting point for Aptera and our customers. Right.
Yep.
Any other questions on this one, or?
So the now that I see it, the hinges on the door, they connect to that metal piece, don't they? That's what I'm guessing now.
Do they tie? No. Do they tie into that metallic node?
Not sure, huh?
I'm not sure. Essentially, yes. I mean, it's very much integral, right? And I'll be honest. The engineers on the door system, it's not the first time they've done a door that operates in this manner. It's really satisfying for Aptera and our engineering partners to kind of understand what the goal is, and then execute. It's like, oh yeah, we know how to do that. We've done that before,
right? Because these kinds of doors are found in exotic sports cars.
Bingo.
Yeah.
Right. And we found that with some of the lighting, hey, is it possible to make the lights do this? And they're like, oh yeah, we've already done that. It's like, great. There's a lot of those wonderful, journeys. Engineers are so valuable for this company. They from a design standpoint, right? I'm an industrial designer. The industry is automobiles and vehicles, but what I realized very early on with my initial, work experience with the greats such as Mercedes and Porsche is that without engineering, we're doing some art, and art is important, but our engineers, that's how they make everything really not only repeatable and like industrialized, but you're not just making one, you're making several, and you're setting targets, and they're the most important aspect of this whole endeavor, right? I was asked the questions like, oh, what do you think of, your design? It's like, it's not my design. It's math's design, and it's great engineering to productionize it at scale. Yeah, I can talk about some of the colors and the tuning, let's say the tailoring of the design lines, and the style. But style is something that we don't start with. You end with a style, but you start with the goal of, what is this function? What is this delivering? And if you follow the process and you collaborate with engineering, then you end up with a style.
Yeah.
That's the most valuable thing that Aptera has.
Right. Yeah, it's very collaborative between you and the engineers.
It's great. Yeah.
So
cool. Yeah, there's going to be little changes like the form around the airbag. We've optimized the position with working with the company, like it needs to be in a certain deployment. And so this image is slightly out of date, but it also is not, that surface that's not holding us up.
Okay.
Right.
And how much space is there in that place where the smartphone is sitting? That's a
right
storage
here?
area, right? Yeah. Is that all the way down to the floor there's space, or is it
It's down to the
pretty
center
shallow?
column. Yeah, it's this whole thing.
Okay.
You'll be able to put some things in there.
A decent amount of space in there.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, we can, I promise you, Steve, we could do a whole, and maybe we will, like a whole video just about the center console and what kind of, how we arrived there.
Yeah.
And what that offers, what it offers Aptera, what it offers the users, and why, and that'll be a lot of fun.
We should do it.
For sure.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, a lot of questions around,
Oh yeah, a lot of questions about this thing.
Yeah.
So some people just don't like it. They think it doesn't flow with the rest of the vehicle. They're like, it's such a sleek, beautiful vehicle, and then there's this like knob sticking out the back. What's up with that?
Well,
but now, you know what? This is a picture we haven't seen before. At least I haven't seen it before. Where there's a light coming out the back.
Well, that's when you're in reverse.
Right, because you were saying before that this provides lighting for like backing up maneuvers, as well as lighting for the license plate. And we were like, how does that thing provide lighting to the back? But now I see how you do it.
Yeah.
Now it makes sense.
Yeah, we don't have to, as an auto cycle or motorcycle, we don't have to have this, but we understand the operating environment, and this is a very low cost, very low and high or high efficiency way to add a few LEDs that indicate to the others that, like, hey, this vehicle is in reverse.
Right.
It doesn't light the way. Our cameras can kind of take that. The camera will just show you everything you need to do on the screen, but the indicator is a courtesy that says, hey, this vehicle is in reverse. And then there's an audio component to that too, right? With the pedestrian warning and reverse lamp and everything. So the fun part of this thing is, inside of that, there's another single LED that goes through a lensing and provides the legal requirement light on the license plate when you're operating at night.
So is this one LED that functions as both, or is it two LEDs?
There's an LED set that's for indicating the reverse, and then there's a single LED that's lensed to provide the light over the plate.
Gotcha. Okay. Yeah. Okay.
And we combine those functions because we needed, when you go through the regulations, you look at everything, we had them originally in the what we call the rear combination lamp, which is your stop, brake, and signal for the rear facing. But it was better overall to, both from a cost standpoint, but from also a functional safety standpoint, to remove the reverse indicator that is like on alphas and gammas and put it on the LPI, the license plate illuminator.
Okay.
Yeah. So this has been engineered. It's a very robust attachment. It also takes up minimum space. It allows us to have the maximum, exhaust air exchange that we have back here. And
so is this thing pretty strong?
Yeah.
Okay.
Like pretty strong? Yeah.
Okay. Like if we like bump up against it with our hip, we're not going to knock the thing off.
No, it's not held on by rubber bands. I mean,
okay.
our partners, like, they know how to engineer these things and give it the requirement or give it the strength so it doesn't, you could take a baseball bat to a motorcycle or a vehicle mirror.
Yeah.
Right. YouTube is filled with that.
Yeah.
Yeah, you could probably destroy this, but it's not so delicate that it's just gonna fall apart.
Yeah. Like incidentally hitting it is not going to make it break off.
Not at all.
Okay.
Not at all. And I will tell you that we found an opportunity because most EV chargers with the receptacle, there's a lamp indicator that says red or green or blue or whatever. So you can imagine what we can do with the charging receptacle and the LPI, and it also all of a sudden becomes harmonious. I'm not just showing the LPI, I'm showing you the whole environment.
Right.
And the whole environment is extremely harmonious in its.
So is this thing going to function like a charge indicator as well?
Why not? Right.
Nice. Okay. I think that'll grow on some people.
Yeah. So this is something we set up a long time ago, and now we get to fill it in, which is essentially the owner's manual. Like we can't do that at the end. We have to do that now. We have to finalize it now, regardless of our SOP. Like we've set up the framework in order to, have all the correct. And even though this is all lorem ipsum, right?
Yeah.
But we've got the whole framework set, and I'm not showing you the real one because it's dynamic until we get everything ready. And for release, but this is version earlier for the North America, and we know that this has to be published through the vehicle and available for our users, right?
Nice.
So that's one, and then the other is this is a little bit not the latest version, but we've been developing. We went through a great exercise last year on the mobile app.
Okay, all right.
What that means to what are you going to be able to do, and then what does that look and feel?
Okay.
Right. So I think those questions have come up. Well, what are they doing on the app? And
yes, people are very interested in the app.
Yeah, the answer is we're doing the app. We're doing it with the right level of the what do you need versus what do you want, and what's the right combination of both of those, right? In the beginning, we need a very robust app that does the things you need,
right?
And we'll be able to add the things that you want,
right? Because you can always update this. You can improve on it and add things to it.
Yeah.
Okay. So but obviously,
this is production intent vehicle, and we'll have the ability to check on things and your account and lock and unlock and do those things
and open the hatch. Looks like.
Yep, all of that.
And you can do climate control remotely.
Ideally, yes. There's going to be in the beginning you want 3 things that work really, really well, instead of 10 or 20 things that some work, some don't, right?
Okay. What are your priorities? What are the priorities?
The priorities of what you would naturally think are going to be able to lock and unlock the vehicle.
Yes.
Right? The functions of that. Also know your state of charge.
Yes. Okay. Yeah. And like kind of monitor the solar charging as it happens.
Yeah, and again, that's one of those like, can you do it? Should you do it? How do we do it? Like we
Uh-huh.
go through a robust UI UX process,
Okay.
uh, and user experience, or yeah, user interface, user experience, UI UX, right?
Hmm.
And it's so satisfying because you can do a million things, or
Hmm.
you can do a few things that really well,
Okay.
and that we're chasing all of those down. We have been chasing them. We're not just starting this. This is, again, all of this stuff. Unfortunately, we get to share a lot of this stuff after it happens. It's
Yeah.
not as dynamic as y'all would like,
Hmm.
but we really respect all the great questions and inquiries on that.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we're getting near the end for tonight, but you had asked a couple of other questions. So let me see if I can answer some of those.
Okay.
Here we go. Yeah, we talked about the safety ethos. I've shared with you the owner's manual and the app.
Hmm.
Love the fact that great support from the accelerator, and we've got some more information. I think once we hit like the midpoint,
Hmm.
and then it starts to become the scarcity, but
Hmm.
we're gearing up to build so many of these, but the first 2,000 are going to be special. You asked a couple of questions like, what is the USB output?
Hmm.
Right? So I know we specified to be able to charge a phone. So I know that at least one of them has 3 amps.
Okay.
I don't know if that means anything to you.
Okay. Yeah,
I
that
just
means
want
like
to
that's
know.
like 15 watts, which is like
Yeah,
good, not great.
yeah.
Uh-huh.
For me, like, what do we need there? I want to be able to plug my phone in and charge
Uh,
it. Do I
yeah.
want to, do other things? I don't know,
Right.
honestly.
I mean, like, because some of the newer phones, they have like super fast charging, and they can charge it like 50 watts or 60 watts or something.
Right.
But like 15 watts is respectable charging.
Yeah.
It'll charge any phone. It just won't charge it like from zero to full in like 20 minutes or anything like that.
Yeah.
Um,
And then
and
you asked about Sentry mode.
yes, a lot of people want to know about Sentry. And I've asked Chris this question multiple times, and he's always told me, yeah, I mean, it's like something, but it's not a priority right now because we're working on so many other things.
Yeah.
But the reason that I want Sentry mode, and I think a lot of people in the community want Sentry mode, is for two reasons. One is because Aptera looks so distinctive, it will garner a lot of attention,
Yeah.
both positive and negative.
Yeah.
And so we think Sentry mode is important for that. And for me personally, I think Sentry mode will make great content. Like people gawking and staring at it in parking lots while you're like shopping or eating.
Yeah.
Like the reactions of people that walk by and see it, especially the first, several thousand when they're not common. Um, it's going to be quite entertaining, I think.
Yeah. Um, Let me go really big picture on that.
Uh,
I think that it's becoming so important to have that kind of level of, whether you call it Sentry mode or observation or digital recording, whatever it is.
mhm.
It's definitely something achievable and
Yeah.
important. And we start with, how do we protect if you didn't have Sentry mode, or if
Hmm.
you didn't have the vision or the cameras,
Hmm.
and then you kind of build up from there of, what do the cameras bring for you on this? But
Hmm.
it's not the answer you want, but I mean, it's a yes,
Hmm.
and it's more of a yes eventually.
Yeah. Yeah.
Eventually doesn't mean 10 years out,
Yeah.
because we have these things available.
Right. Right.
So
Like it could be like a software type update later on, maybe.
yeah, and you've spoken with both Chris's about Sentry mode, and also things like the the Open Pilot AI,
Mhm.
right?
Yeah, yeah.
So that's not something, from a design like user standpoint. Oh yeah, we want this ability to record content,
Hmm.
right? And also alert, and things like that.
Hmm. Hmm.
So
And the other question I had for you, I think the other one was like, the plug in the back, the
Yeah.
electrical plug. Um,
We are ready for a 12 volt.
well, oh yeah, there was a cigarette lighter.
Yeah,
That was an
12 volt.
auxiliary. Okay, yeah. Like, do you guys know how much wattage that can put out?
I don't.
Okay, okay, all right.
That's I'm not an electrical engineer. I just know that from a feature and a user standpoint, it's like it'd be great to have that 12 volt outlet there.
Right.
Well, actually, we can do that because we it's kind of preset for that.
Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Yeah, because some of them like are put enough power that you could like run a induction cooktop out of, and some of them are enough to like inflate a air mattress. So there's
Induction
widely
cooktop.
there's
Um,
widely different levels of
yeah,
power that you can get out of those
I
things.
like the way you're thinking, especially like inflatable air mattress. I
Uh-huh.
think you're gonna enjoy like what we have on that,
Okay. All right.
right?
All right.
And
You got something up your sleeve, I can tell.
yeah, and I
Uh-huh.
don't know why you want induction when you could do a solar oven or a solar grill.
I have a solar oven.
There you
They're very
go.
slow. Yeah, you gotta put the thing in and let it. It's like a crock pot, it's a slow cooker. It's
We can
cool.
have another discussion about cooking. I think that's
Yeah.
one of my, design is a lot like cooking because
Uh-huh.
sometimes you don't have all the ingredients, so you kind of
I have to wing
but
it.
engineering is like baking, and it's very precise and very measured,
Uh,
right?
mhm. I
So,
see. I like your analogy.
oh, it's one of my favorite because I have a passion for cooking and food and you
Uh,
know,
I noticed from the pictures you sent me from Italy.
oh yeah. Well, I'm off to Italy
Uh-huh.
very shortly.
Okay.
There's something we have to do there. So, and then there's another question you asked, and you made a video of speculation. We have a target of a turning radius.
Uh-huh.
It is not it is not the widest ever, and it's also not the tightest, but
Yeah.
it's acceptable to other vehicles. And there is going to be a whole different feel with this vehicle
Mhm.
when you daily live with it.
Okay.
And I'm always amazed at how we as humans can adapt to what we perceive as like, oh, that's not, I can't do that. And then pretty soon it just becomes, you know,
Yeah.
incredibly easy.
Hmm. Hmm.
Um, I'm always not impressed. I'm always puzzled. Like sometimes I drive an ICE vehicle and I'm like, what is this button? And why do I have to push this? And then why do I have to push this other button? And once I push that button, then I have to do this other thing just to get in gear,
Right, right,
drive.
right.
But for decades, and there's some funny things along that lines
Mhm.
of like, well, how far can you go? It's like, oh, I got a third of a tank. Well, how far is that? It's like, well, I got a third of a tank. And
Yeah.
forever we were just like quarter, full, half. And now we're like, oh no, I need to know to the mile
Uh-huh.
based on altitude, wind shear,
Uh,
temperature,
Yeah.
tire temperature,
Yeah.
pressure of what, exact miles I can achieve.
Right.
And it's
Right.
awesome because we can apply technology to that and we can
Yeah.
get those answers.
Hmm.
So, any other questions?
No, I think that's good. We'll have to do the center console uh tour at some point.
We can do the center console. We can do, all the lighting. The lighting's
Uh-huh.
fun, right? It's a big challenge. We don't want to just meet the regulations. We want to we from a safety standpoint and a brand standpoint, we want to give something extra.
Okay.
So,
All right. Well, thanks very much for your time
sure.
again, Jason. Really appreciate it. I always enjoy our talks. And
Yeah,
I
you,
think
you you ask good questions, and we appreciate your videos.
everyone appreciates, hearing from you and from other people at Aptera. So I think those are the things that people really look forward to.
Yeah, for sure. We really appreciate the support. We've got so much to look forward to, and um, we're rapidly accelerating our whole situation. So thank you very much.
Oh, no problem. All right. Good night, Jason.
Okay,
Thanks.
bye-bye.